Hey, what's happening, everybody? We are back. We're back out. We're back out in the analog world. Well, it's the analog world in there too, but it is more analog out here. Just like more cowbell, we want more analog. Good morning. It's me, Robert Phoenix. I'm outside where it's a little bit chilly, but you know what? This is nothing for Wim Hof. I did take a partially cold shower today, if you're wondering at home. They're good for you. You know, when I was in college, I was kind of a fitness freak. I went through this period where I was like a complete ascetic, right? I was totally into yoga. I was lifting weights. I had a really kind of, I would say, conscious diet. Although back then, I was drinking protein drinks, soy protein drinks. I didn't know, and they didn't have too many alternatives. There were a few, but I was into this phase, right? I was really into perfecting the physical vehicle, and after I would, this is when I was in college, and I'd go to yoga class in the morning, and then I would take a cold shower in the locker room. There was also a weight training class, and I did that as well. So it was a it was a good time, and I was really set on having like breakthroughs. That was the idea, and you know what? It worked. It worked. So if you have an intention and you can follow through on that intention and do it consistently, you can be successful. So, and some of the breakthroughs were interesting. Anyway, cold shower story. They're good for you. Here we go. Michael, Sister Nino, Mr. DJ MC. We had a chat last night. Michael sent me some interesting info. I'm going to talk about some of that today. Wendy Quintana in the house. Good morning, Michael Pafford. Good morning, Michael. There's Lisa Marie. Good morning, Lisa Marie. Natasha. Yeah, intense times indeed. We got to talk about that as well, unfortunately. Let's see. Beth Berry's in the house. Coming from SoCal. What's going on? Double B. David Olmstead. What's going on, David? Good to see you. Sandra Wells. Cuz, what's happening? Nice to see you, Gucci to Goats. There she is, Ashante Edwards. Hello, Ashante. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Da, 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 da. All right, Ryan, what's going on? There she is, Susie. Susie the Sea Dragon. Oh, hey, there's that Robert Phoenix guy. Good morning, Robert. Steve, what's going on? My man, Thor at the door. Laura D's here. Let's see. No sound. Why no sound? Sound now. Oh, good. You have the sound now. Good. Excellent. Let's see. Who else do we have? Lynn. No snow here, but 200 inches of rain in 8 months. That's a lot of rain. Ian Barber, what's going on? The Barber of Seville, the lovely and talented Jonas. W.C. Ray. Let's see. Who else do we have? Yes, Natasha. She got right up in this tree, man. She did a Michael Jackson. Did you ever see that Michael Jackson interview when he was from Neverland? Did you guys see that? I think it was around 2003, maybe 2000. It was either 2002, 2003. I think it was that guy Martin Bashir. He went out there, and whoever this entity was, that was Michael Jackson at that time, and I'm not convinced it was the Michael Jackson. There was somebody else was doing the Michael Jackson live. Isn't it interesting too how Michael Jackson liked to wear masks? How many times did you see Michael Jackson in public with a fucking mask? a lot. And I think he even had an album cover that featured a mask. Anyway, whoever or whatever that entity was, there's a scene where he climbs the tree, and he climbs it in a way that is freakishly not human. And I've tried to find the clip. I can't find the clip on the internet. And he climbs this tree just like he's walking down the sidewalk. By the way, there were things that went on at that ranch, and they were. It was not a hustle. There were things going on there. Let's see. Misty Miner. Morning, Misty. PB, what's happening? Philip, good to see you. A beautiful morning in Central Texas. It is. Absolutely. Let's hope they don't spray here today. You know, the geoengineering has really picked up over the last couple of weeks. And last week it was very thick. Let's see, who else? Ice Dip. Oh no, done it once, never again. I was thinking about these athletes who sit in these tubs of ice water. You see that, like, you know, after football games, these guys will just sit in tubs of ice. Now, I have done the cryo chambers. I've done that. I like the cryo chamber. I've had quite a few cryo chamber experiences. Sharon Q, good morning. Tizia, yes, we're back outside. It's good to be back outside. Iris Henkel, morning. Socialism distancing in the garden all week. Good, good. I like that. That's a good strategy. Ferris Galen, what's happening, brother? Good to see you. Uncle Glenn, holding down the hot corner. So let's see. Let me talk about Charles a little bit. You guys, I got numerous messages regarding Charles, and I don't have a contact for Charles. I've been trying to root around and do like a people search for him, and I found some numbers from, I think, where he is originally from, which is the upstate New York area, Rochester and Buffalo, but I have not found anything from where he currently is. So I'm going to try to work on some of that today. And I know a lot of you are concerned about his well-being and state of mind. So I'm going to try to follow up on that. Let's see. Leon Luis, what's going on, my man? Good to see you. Andrea Garland, good morning. Victoria V, double V. London Calling, there he is. Ralph Winter. Yeah, who else do we have? H. Suttles. Good morning, H. Suttles. Shannon Jones showing up. Courtney Hutchinson. Good morning to you. Tondar. That interview was weird as. Yeah, right? You're talking about the Michael Jackson with the Martin Bashir. Very strange. And the tree climbing thing. I looked at that. I was like, what the hell is going on there? The birds are good. Yeah, we got good birds here. We have a very healthy cardinal community. Rosie and Jasper will tell you about that. Best MJ joke. That guy showed up to court dressed like Captain Neal. Laurel Jubin checking in. What's going on, Laurel? Looks like the NHL is back in business. So apparently they're letting fans back into NBA stadiums. Isn't that convenient? Yeah. Now that G. Biden is in the actually he's Max Headroom. He's Skeletor meets Max Headroom. Hot tub, then roll in the fresh snow. Good idea, Gordon. No fresh snow here, although I'm sure other parts of the country have plenty of fresh snow to indulge in. Frank Bry, what's going on, Frank? Good to see you. Oh, Jennifer Fitzgerald, man, Texas is representing today. I miss Nick Plur. Morning. Sandy Smart, aloha from Volcano Viewpoint. Well, you're going to have a bird's eye view for the eschaton. We're going to talk a bit about that today. Sunny 49 in Miami. That's what our wench with the wrench, Ani Brito, has to say. There he is. Okay, Charles. People were a little concerned about you. It's good that you're here. Thank you. Thank you for checking in. It's kind of new. It's kind of, listen, it's got to be cool, right? Like if you are somebody and you haven't met any of these people who are in this sort of virtual world and they're concerned enough about your well-being to send me like a number of texts and emails and actually leave comments on a show a couple days ago. It's pretty special. You guys are special. Let's see. John G's here in the house. Good to see you, John G. Julianne, Christy Tesmerk. I have a pair of Blue Jays. I like to steal the cat food. Those Blue Jays are crafty. Darren checking in. What's going on? The Bodie abides. I like that. Oh, look at that. Charles is right there. Okay, we promoted all the concern. It was the message that the message you left at the end of the show a couple days ago. So people, I don't know whether it was intentional or not, or people were reading into it, but they were concerned about you. Apparently it's all good, and thank you for sharing your contact info. If anybody wants to get a hold of Charles, it's right there. Mark Matheny in the house. What's going on? Let's see. Sandy Smart, we connected with you. Carolina in the Pines. What's going on? Lapicius. J&P Love, check it in. Hello, Christy. Brenda Zarifan. It may be Zarifan, but Zarifan sounds more exotic. Was working on a recording studio in Hollywood in the 90s, and MJ called. I answered the phone and spoke to him. Trippy. Let's see, who else do we have? This shows how connected an online community is. Very cool. And in the special, most days I feel more connected to this community, people whom I've never met, than people in my actual life. I know, right? Alternate universe. Let's see, Catherine E. If you're looking at Michael Jackson, the video is on YouTube. Oh, okay, good. Let me see if I can find it. That would be interesting to go back and watch. Let's see if we can do this. Here it is. It's like there are some really weird things here. The symbolism is quite odd. This is pretty odd. I haven't seen this in years, and it's already grabbing me. So here we go. This is the tree climbing, and first of all, he's showing up in this little electronic, not electronic. It's probably a little two-stroke engine Batmobile, although it could be electronic golf cart. Anyway, here's Michael Jackson in the Batmobile. Now, what's interesting about the Batmobile is actually it's the bat itself is connected to Minneapolis. It's connected to Minneapolis and George Floyd. And what happened in Minneapolis? Why? Because Prince played the Joker, well, a version of the Joker in his video that was used. His video was used. I think Prince scored the one of the Batman flicks. I think it was actually the first one with Jack Nicholson as the Joker. So Prince, of course, Twin Cities. And then what did we see in the Twin Cities? The thing that kicked that event off was a guy with an umbrella. And he was breaking the window of the AutoZone. Okay, so immediately, this is bizarre. Here we go.
The climate is a problem for Jackson. He says the color-changing skin condition vitiligo has made him allergic to the sun. So, shielded by his umbrella, he took me to his most secret place.
I call it my giving tree because it inspires me. I love climbing trees in general, but this tree I love the most because I climb up high and I look down on its branches, and it gives me, I just love it, so many ideas. I've written so many of my songs in this tree. I wrote Heal the World in this tree, Will You Be There, Black or White, Childhood.
You're actually saying that you climbed that tree?
Yeah.
How far do you climb up it?
All the way to that seat, all the way to that kind of spot up there, kind of like a deck or it's like a bed.
Do you want to climb it now?
Yeah.
Give me hold the umbrella.
Yeah.
You go and climb it, and when you've climbed it, let's see how inspiring it is.
Aren't you coming?
No way.
This is a big secret. I never saw anybody in my giving tree.
Okay, I'll try. I'm slightly worried about my shoes slipping.
Come on.
Is it safe?
Of course.
I'm frightened.
My
I think
inspiration.
I'm going to stop here.
You don't climb trees?
No, I do not.
You're missing out.
I'll leave you to it.
Climb trees?
No.
All right, let's go back and look at this. Let's see this thing.
Aren't you coming?
No way.
This is
Yeah, so for me, it's the verticality. It's like he is
Aren't you coming?
like
No way.
totally upright, like right here. He's just walking up this thing.
This is a big secret. I never saw anybody in my giving tree.
Okay, I'll try. I'm slightly worried about my
Anyway, that's Michael Jackson climbing a tree. And this is just before the fall of Michael Jackson. A strange chapter in the pop history of America. There you go. Okay. Where are we? Did you see Smashing Pumpkins' new video? Sir, the way he looks is if Aleister Crowley and Hellraiser had a baby. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Well, yeah. Smashing Pumpkins. Let's see. Who else do we have here? The Princess Di interview with Martin is fantastic. Would also recommend that. Good. Human Nature. I know, right? That's one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs, by the way. Billy Corgan is an unusual character. A very unusual character, but he's interesting. He is one of the few musicians who is sort of alternatively awake. And he was on he was on Alex Jones at InfoWars a few times back around, I think 2016, and he caught a lot of shit for it. The music press turned on him. Billy Corgan, born 3 days before me, same year. Yeah, he is. Billy Corgan is one of the few kind of mainstream alternative musicians that gets it. He gets it. And again, he came out and basically was calling it as he saw it, and the music press just turned on him and savaged him. All right, let's have a little invocation here, and then we're going to get into the order of the day. All right, I'm going to get out of the way here. You just deal with the tree today. You can get into the tree. All right, here we go. Dear blessed holy Mother, Father God of the great central sun, which is the universal light, which is the light of Yeshua, Sananda, Emmanuel. We ask that only the highest and best information, wisdom, and truth come through this channel at this time for everyone who is observing, participating, witnessing throughout this day and throughout their lives. Let's just get expansive here. We affirm and decree that the qualities of perseverance and perspective and discernment, detachment in a Buddhist sense, courage, humor, fortitude, flexibility, community, empathy, compassion, and above all, love are qualities we embody. And we ask that any karmic residue be cleansed, purified, clarified, and removed. Okay, let's go. I like getting out of the way of that. So where do I want to start today? How about, let me talk a little bit about what's going on in Washington, D.C. They have just called in another, 5,000 troops. That's I think they've got about 25,000 troops there. Why is that? Why is that? Now, apparently, Donald Trump is going to be facing an impeachment trial next week, and they're concerned that the radical right is going to show up and try to once again overthrow the government. At least that's what the company line is. That's the superficial rendering. But I think there is more to it than that. First of all, it gives them being this current administration, this image and perception of power. Now, what's interesting is that during the summer of Floyd, the National Guard was not called out or not summoned by any of these governors of any of these blue states. Trump did not use the 14th Amendment, and he could have, because people's civil rights were being trampled during the summer of Floyd. Didn't use it. So the National Guard was nowhere. I mean, maybe they showed up without weapons, and maybe it was sort of a superficial kind of semblance of order. That's not the case now, because they are stepping to it. They're being summoned. It's a very, very different dynamic than what took place during the summer of Floyd. Now, if they being the National Guard, are in Washington, D.C., where are they not? They're not in the states that they have been summoned from. Think about that for a moment. That means that there are 25,000 less soldiers, National Guard, in the states that they originate from to theoretically protect those states and the people of those states. 25,000 is a pretty big number. It's pretty significant. So we have this show of force, and we have this very different dichotomy from the summer where, for all intents and purposes, I hate to say this, Trump looked and appeared impotent, like he couldn't do anything. And we know he had the 2 executive orders, one which basically said, hey, we're decoupling from the rest of the states. You guys go run your COVID response. And the other, the second executive order, was basically allowing FEMA to run the country. So maybe he couldn't do anything. Now, I don't necessarily think Trump said, hey, let me do this, and this is going to be the outcome, and I'm going to shirk my responsibility. I think he was advised to do it, and they said, look, this is the best thing to do. And he was probably even told some of the political ramifications. Like, if there's any blowback, it won't come back to you. It'll come back to the states. The states will look bad, and it might even help your election numbers, cynical as it may sound. But that's not what's happening now. What's happening now is a complete 180. And I watched a video with Jen Psaki, who is the new press secretary. She's a Sagittarius, by the way. And they're doing something that the Trump administration never did. They're very clear about what their goals and what their intentions are and how they're going to go about doing them. They're telling you right now, they're creating a massive database, and they're using the ADL and the Southern Poverty Law Center to come up with a list of people who are dangerous to the state. They're doing that. And they're telling you. And they're being very explicit about how it's being handled. This never happened in the Trump administration. Never. You never heard Kayleigh McEnany talk about, well, right now we're working with the FBI and we're working with the NSA and some other groups, and we're tracking down and determining everybody who's in Black Lives Matter and Antifa, who are these radical anti-American terror groups. So we're putting together a database, and we're going to be working with those groups in order to ensure Americans are safe. You didn't hear any of that. None of that happened, but you're hearing it now, and they are deadly serious about this. The new bill that Sheila Jackson Lee brings to the floor every year, and it gets put into committee and stalls and dies every year. This is the new gun registration bill. Actually has some legs this time. Why does it have legs? Well, number one, you have a Senate that is, I think the Democrats control the Senate because I think it's even, and then Harris has the deciding vote, right? Being the vice president. I'm pretty sure, that's where it's at. And that's why the election, the so-called election in Georgia, was important to tilt the balance. And then, of course, we know that the House is filled with batshit Dems, batshit crazy Dems. So the potential for this bill to get passed now is quite real. Before it was always like stuck in committee and just died. Now it has legs, and the language is quite serious. It's very serious. And here we are. We're past this phase where the social Marxists or the cultural Marxists have infiltrated the cultural institutions. We're past that phase now. Now they're going in for the kill. Right? This is where we are now. They're going in for the kill shot. And they're doing this at breakneck speed with very few safeguards, very few checks and balances to prevent this from happening. And I'm not saying they're going to be completely successful in this, because people are paying attention. People are seeing it. But again, they're controlling the mainstream media. They're controlling the narrative. And Mr. Executive Action is essentially able to sign pretty much anything he wants. Now, all those things only apply to federal agencies. Now, theoretically, they only apply to federal agencies. That said, the Keystone Pipeline deal, not a federal agency, although I'm sure they probably took some federal money along the way, which may tangentially make them, I don't know, an offshoot of a federal agency. Maybe the Bureau of Land Management, the original BLM, is somehow connected to the Keystone Pipeline, and because of that, they're able to sign an executive action and scuttle about 5,000 employees. So that's what's happening at that level. And I'm just telling you, you need to be aware of it. You absolutely need to be aware of it. And there's probably not a lot you or I can do at that level. Now, at a local level, you might have a better shot. You might be able to get in at a local level and throw a few monkey wrenches and, break down a few gears in the cogs of the machine, which I'm watching here in this town. It is a microcosm of the macrocosm. But that's happening, and they're not fucking around. They're very serious about this, because they know that the people are pissed off, and the people know that the election was stolen, that this is a government that theoretically does not represent them on a lot of levels. So they don't want a disgruntled populace. And if you follow the Bolsheviks and what the Bolsheviks did, they moved quickly. Like, they didn't mess around. They started to shake things up at light speed, which is, again, a 180-degree opposition to theoretically what did or didn't go down inside the Trump administration. There's one guy who hasn't given up, though, and that's the pillow guy, Mike Lindell. By the way, Mike, I'm still waiting for my pillows. That's a good sign, I think, because they have a backup in filling their orders, which means that a lot of people have decided that they want to support Mike Lindell by buying a couple of pillows, which I did. And I never wanted to, hey, I can see the moon. I never wanted to own a MyPillow before, but now I do. So I've got a couple of MyPillows on the way. So what happened with Mike Lindell yesterday is interesting. The one guy who I think comes out looking pretty good around all of this is Mike Lindell. He was on Newsmax last night, and Newsmax basically cut him off. I've never liked Newsmax. You know how you get those feelings, those kind of instinctual feelings, and I know you guys get them, the hunches and the hits. The first time I saw Newsmax, just the logo, I'm like, I don't know about this. And I think I watched maybe 10 minutes of it. I'm like, these people are fucking lightweights. They're lightweights. And yeah, I know they contributed to the Clinton Foundation $1 million, by the way. But people, they do that. People in business do that at a high level. Like, I was reading Larry Ellison's bio. Weird guy, Larry Ellison. Very weird dude. Larry Ellison essentially funds both the Republicans and the Democrats. They don't care. They don't care. Whoever wins, they're just grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for donating. How may I serve you? So I'm going to play you the Mike Lindell thing, so you guys can watch this. Now, here's my question: if Newsmax, like, how, you know that Mike Lindell is a guy that's possessed. He's possessed by showing that Trump won, that the election was stolen. And he's got all the data and all the information. He's possessed by this thing. He's a cancer, by the way. He won't let it go. So if you're Newsmax, wouldn't you understand that, going, hey, look, Mike Lindell, I mean, he could go off the reservation. And by the way, Newsmax had to come out and apologize to Dominion. So I'm just setting the stage here. So let's play this.
And the company page.
Well, first mine was taken down because we have all the election fraud with these Dominion machines. We have 100% proof. And then when they took it down about 3 weeks ago, and then when I put it back up, my personal, it was a
Mike, thank you very much. Mike, you're talking about machines that we at Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those kinds of allegations. We just want to let people know that there's nothing substantive that we've seen. And let me read you something there. While there were some clear evidence of some cases of vote fraud and election irregularities, the election results in every state were certified, and Newsmax accepts the results as legal and final. The courts have also supported that view. So we wanted to talk to you about canceling culture, if you will. We don't want to relitigate the allegations that you're making, Mike, because we understand where you are. So let me ask you this. Do you think that this should be temporary because it appears to be permanent? Could you make an argument that it is temporary?
What?
Could you make an argument that this could be a temporary banning rather than permanent?
No, I want it to be a permanent because you know what? They did this because I'm revealing all the evidence on Friday of all the election fraud with these machines. So I'm sorry if you think it's not
Mike,
it's real.
Can I ask our producers, can we get out of here, please? I don't want to have to keep going over this.
Actually,
we at Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those allegations that you're
Mike, hold on a second. Everybody hold on a second. Mike, hold on 1 second. Let's talk a little bit about.
So what do you think is going to happen to Newsmax's ratings? Circle the drain. You listen. How many times has Mike Lindell theoretically died? Doesn't he say he died like 11 times or something like that? That's a guy that's not easily dissuaded. Okay, if he's come back from death like 11 times, he's not gonna give up the ghost. So they thought that they were just gonna get his take on being canceled from Twitter. Well, they were wrong. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Mike Lindell on Friday. I guess he's going to somehow provide the evidence, bring the proof. We'll see. I wanted to talk a little bit about sort of what was going on. Again, sort of Mercury retrograde. We're retrospecting. We're looking back. So I came across this recent article, and it has to do with what was going on in the sort of the final days of the White House, a behind the scenes look. And we're gonna take a dive here. So this is from the Daily Mail. I do at least one story from the Daily Mail each day, it seems. So here we go. Mike Flynn, you are a fucking idiot. Sit your ass down inside Trump's 6-hour Oval Office summit on election fraud that descended into confrontation between Mike Flynn and furious White House aides. Donald Trump, his legal team, and several White House advisors had an election fraud meeting in the Oval Office that devolved into a swearing match. It came 4 days after the Electoral College certified Joe Biden's victory. Axios revealed the details as part of its Off the Rails series. Now, I'm not sure how much you can rely on Axios, but we're going to read this thing anyway. Examining the final days of Trump's presidency. During the meeting, attorney Sidney Powell, again, falsely accused. And we don't know that. We don't know that. According to Dominion, and by the way, Sidney Powell has not recanted. She's being sued when she hasn't recanted. She hasn't pulled a Rudy Giuliani and taken a knee. All right, let's just get to the meat here. Can I get rid of this? Sometimes when you click these things, they actually, there we go, that's good. They trick you. You hit the little X and sometimes they actually play. 4 days after the Electoral College certified Joe Biden's presidential victory, then President Donald Trump, his legal team and several White House advisors had an election fraud meeting in the Oval Office that devolved into a shouting and swearing match. The heated confrontation took place over 6 hours. First, as aides faced off against each other around the Resolute desk in the Oval Office before it continued upstairs into the yellow Oval Room, the president's private living room in the White House residence. Axios revealed the details of the December 18th showdown as part of its Off the Rails series. During the meeting, attorney Sidney Powell presented the case she had made publicly time and time again. Now, listen, it has yet to be proven that this is a false accusation. It is yet to be proven, and I'll tell you why. Number one, they did not take the Dominion material to the courts. Patrick Byrne has already stated that. They were going after dead people voting. That's what Rudy Giuliani's strategy was. That, and that the regulations and the rules for voting have been changed. That was their case. They didn't go, so there was no legal ruling regarding Dominion, the servers, the code, the vote flipping, none of that. So this is not necessarily true, just to be clear. And just because Newsmax took a knee and just because Rudy Giuliani took a knee doesn't necessarily make it true. Sidney Powell has not taken the knee. The one lawyer who hasn't taken a knee. She suggested to Trump that he declare a national emergency, give her and her allies top secret security clearances, and use the government to seize Dominion's voting machines. I don't have a problem with that. You know who would do that? Biden, Harris, Obama, and the left would absolutely do that. Absolutely. They wouldn't have any problem with it. But of course, they would just throw the election anyway, so it wouldn't really matter. She named a county in Georgia that she said she could prove Dominion had illegally flipped votes. But White House senior advisor Eric Hirschman, who was his lawyer, and he was going to represent him in this impeachment thing, he's gone. He's left. So your theory is that Dominion intentionally flipped the votes so we could win that county, he asked her. From there, the meeting turned into yelling and cursing. Should be a yelling and cursing match that put Powell and her allies against White House aides, with the Powell team presenting themselves as loyalists fighting for Trump and the White House aides determined to follow the law. Hirschman was criticizing Powell's legal challenges for a series of Kraken cases that she claimed would show the election was stolen through foreign interference. Her claims have been taken up by QAnon conspiracy theorists who believe it was part of Trump's fight against the deep state cabal. See, this is the downside of the whole Q stuff. It has become like the tar baby, right? It is the Q is this. It's tarnished, and people associated with Q, it's become this tarnishing point. And they're going to, and in fact, AOC was essentially saying that that Q runs the Republican side of the House. And the reason she's saying that is because Marjorie Greene Taylor is kind of out of the rabbit hole camp. I actually like her, by the way. She's interesting, and they don't like her, and Mitch McConnell doesn't like her. So if Mitch McConnell doesn't like her, I like her. You know what's fascinating? I was thinking about this. The people who seem to be standing up for injustice or theoretical voter fraud or just voter fraud in general, freedom, right? The people who are doing that tend to be women. You have the Marjorie Taylor Greene. You've got, what's her name? Nicole Boebert from Colorado. You've got Tulsi Gabbard. You've got Kristi Noem. And those are 4 really strong women. Like, where are the dudes? Come on, dudes. Show up. Let's go. Powell's case documents were filled with typos. None of her allegations have been backed up. The typos thing is real. Former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who hired Powell to represent him in his own federal case before Trump pardoned him, was one of the yellers. He stood up face to face against the White House advisor. "You're quitting. You're a quitter. You're not fighting," he shouted at Hirschman. "Why the fuck do you keep standing up here and screaming at me?" Hirschman shot back, "If you want to come over here, come over here. If not, sit your ass down." He looks like Benjamin Netanyahu's cousin. White House Staff Secretary Derek Lyons joined the gathering to bring a copy of the 2018 executive order the Powell's group kept citing as a key to victory. Signed by Trump, the order was designed to clear the way for the government to sanction foreign actors interfering in U.S. elections. Yeah, they had that. They absolutely had that. So you don't know, people, they don't know this. Powell and her group falsely claimed Venezuela, Iran, and China were among the foreign governments. Well, okay, then you have the Leonardo stuff in Italy, which came out after that. None of this stuff has really been completely vetted in a court of law. You can't say falsely. You can't say that. Meanwhile, no one, including Trump, seemed to know why former Overstock.com CEO Patrick Byrne was in the room. Byrne suggested Trump take a creative approach to challenging the election's legality. "Sir, we're both entrepreneurs and we both built businesses." He said, "We know that there are times you have to be creative and take different steps." He also attacked the senior White House staffers to their face. "They've already banded you," Byrne told Trump. He's right. He's absolutely right. Byrne then turned on specifically on, this is terrible writing. Byrne then turned specifically on Hirschman. It's terrible writing. "You're a quitter," he said. "You've been interfering with everything. You've been cutting us off. Do you even know who the fuck I am, you idiot?" "Yeah, you're Patrick Cipollone," Byrne said, referring to the White House counsel. Wrong, you idiot." But that didn't keep Byrne silent. So there's Patrick Byrne. And there is Rudy, 7 triples a night, Giuliani. There's Sidney Powell. At about hour 3 mark, Trump called his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, and Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, and piped them into the meeting via phone, which would eventually make its way up to the residence. Giuliani's legal arguments about the election, which had also yet to bear fruit, focused on allegations of misconduct by corrupt Democrats and election officials, not the foreign interference. So those were the cases, ultimately, that were adjudicated. 3 days after the meeting, Giuliani would publicly distance himself from Powell, telling Newsmax that she did not represent Trump and that whatever she's talking about, it's her own opinions. So there you go. I'm sure that Eric Hirschman helped generously contribute to that article. And it gives you, and I'm sure some of it is tainted. but it gives you a behind the scenes look at people who were vested in rooting out this corruption. And look, Sidney Powell may be off her rocker. They may be barking up the wrong tree with the Dominion stuff. I don't think they are. It's been proven time and time again that voting machines can be flipped. It's been proven. And Laura Presley here in Texas, in Austin, had an election stolen from her. And it was via the computer. And it took her 3 appearances in court, finally getting to the Texas State Supreme Court, where they overturned the 2 decisions of the lower courts to validate her claim. And that, yes, the election had been stolen. There had been huge improprieties. She was able to state her case. The evidence was clear. She had her day in court, and she won. But by that time, it was too late. This was 3 years down the line. And the dude that showed up was still there, by the way. So it happens. And it's provable. So to think that Dominion couldn't do what Sidney Powell and Patrick Byrne and Mike Flynn were stating is false. They could. Absolutely. And likely did. But to say that it is false without it being completely brought out into the open and adjudicated, well, that's false too. Then you have the Leonardo thing, whatever that was. And now you've got this Mike Lindell piece, and he's not giving up. He's the cancer. He's got his claws. He's got his cancerian claws on this voting issue, and he's not giving up. And he's got resources. Mike Lindell has resources. The My Pillow guy has sold a lot of pillows, and he has people who are apparently quite loyal. We're buying his pillows. Once he got canceled from Twitter, I said, I'm buying your pillows, dude. I'm buying your pillows. So that's going on. And I don't know what's going to happen next week with this impeachment stuff. We're getting into really heavy Aquarian season here. A lot of planets in Aquarius coming up. We're going to be talking about that on Sunday night. Expect the unexpected on some level. But there's things you could probably expect because there are patterns here and they do play out. Jeff Bezos. So I want to talk about a few more economic pieces, a few more economic indicators, including the resignation of Jeff Bezos as CEO from Amazon. How about that? So Michael, Mr. DJMC, who's in commercial real estate, told me that San Francisco is basically a ghost town. Now, I had heard that from other sources, and Walgreens, which is Walgreens, you could basically go about 4 or 5 blocks, maybe about 6 blocks. San Francisco is not a big town, by the way. You could go about maybe 6 blocks and you'd run into a Walgreens in San Francisco. They're all gone. All the Walgreens in San Francisco are empty because they're getting ripped off. You can go into Walgreens and basically steal $999.99 worth of goodies. You can't do shit. And I don't think they're keeping track of the tab as you leave. So this is significant. This is a major company who's leaving San Francisco and probably California. Further south in Long Beach, the city council in Long Beach voted to make grocery chains, Kroger's in particular, but I think Kroger's is the one that represents the most. Kroger's, which has Ralph's and Food for Less, they basically said, you got to start paying your people $4 an hour more. That's called hero pay. because they put themselves on the line during this emergency, this pandemic, and they deserve more money. They're like first responders. We got a major helicopter. You know, that helicopter makes that journey right around this time every day. It's going south to the airport here. Anyway, what did Kroger's do? They said, okay, we're going to shut down Ralph's and Food for Less. See ya. They're leaving. When the government gets involved in wage and price controls, you're starting to circle the drain. That's when shit gets ugly. And we've seen it again and again and again in societies and in economies where they do that. They did it in England with the coal miners. They put a price control. They set price controls on coal. They set wage control on the miners. What did the miners do? They struck. Crippled England. Absolutely crippled England. And this is something that Enoch Powell talked about a lot. And I guess it was Ted Heath, right? That was the guy that did it. And it was absolutely and utterly disabling to the English economy. Then you had all these people on the dole, and it was a bad time. The late 60s, early 70s, actually it's the early mid 70s, really bad time in England. And I talked about Chile and what happened in Chile with Allende and the wage and the price controls, and the same shit happens. You've got shortages, you've got people on strike. It creates this imbalance, this kind of economic imbalance. And that's exactly what happened in Long Beach. They're like, okay, you got to pay your people $4 an hour more. Really? You're telling us what to do? See ya. We're just going to shut the stores down. So the unions have come out and said, oh, well, that's just Kroger. They're trying to get out of paying their people a living wage. No, they're paying their people a union wage. They're not paying their people less than a union wage. What they're resenting is the fact that the local city government got involved and demanded that they pay their employees more. This is what happens when you have a pandemic. You have this complete overreach. So they're gone. Now, Jeff Bezos has just resigned from Amazon. Why is that? Now, some people think that his funds have been seized, and I don't know about that. Jeff Bezos, by the way, probably has his money in so many fucking places. And he's probably got, tons of gold bars. I mean, if you think Jeff Bezos just has one account and they can just seize that main account, that's not really how the game works for these guys. They're very clever with what they do with their money. They create foundations. They create NGOs. They basically launder their money. So Bezos he's pulling the ripcord. Well, why is he pulling the ripcord? Because he knows that there is going to be issues with labor. Amazon is now organizing. Their people want to be part of a union. I think probably they want to be, I think the warehouse people want to be part of the Teamsters. My father was a Teamster, by the way. So Bezos, obviously, that's not in his best interest. He's pulling a Henry Ford. Henry Ford hated the fucking unions. Hated them. And Bezos is like, hey, I've made enough money. I don't want to be a part of this, because if he fights this, right? If he fights the unionization of Amazon, that does not fit the current Black Lives Matter culture, where unions are the thing. And entrepreneurship and being a self-starter, that's not the thing. So he's getting out of the game. He knows where the game is headed. It's like, this is not my problem anymore. Not my problem. He also knows that automation is going to replace a lot of these people. And that includes, by the way, Amazon's drones, right? Their delivery drones, replacing the drivers, more automation in the warehouses. So he's getting out. Where is he going? Well, he's got a bug out spot in West Texas. I'm going to show you where he's going. Somebody just sent me something. Okay. One second. Okay. All right, let me show you where Jeff Bezos is bugging out to. This is from the YouTube channel Suspicious Observers. Here we go.
Video on Jeff Bezos' catastrophe bug out location, please say something in the comment section. I searched my channel up and down and I couldn't find it. Appears to be gone. So since he's quitting to spend a heck of a lot more time involved with this bug out location, I guess I'll just have to do this again. The Sierra Diablo Mountains are a little stretch in West Texas, actually part of the new Valley of the Sun. Jeff owns one or all of these and is hollowing out a portion for what he says is a millennium clock. Okay. Corn Ranch on the southeast side, fracking sand pit south of that, and of course the Blue Origin facility due east. As we'll check out both the landing pad and launch pad, I want you to consider that the world's richest man can go up or he can go underground, under a mountain, about 1 mile away from each other. Heck, he can go up, come down, and then go under. Hey, Elon, what are those tunnels for again? Never mind. Observer Ranch. For those looking to have a spot all their own at the ranch, your...
Okay, so there you go. He's in West Texas. And he's probably got a deep underground bunker, not a dumb, but a dub, because he's not military, although I'm sure there are military connections there. So what else is he doing in that area? Well, this is kind of interesting. And Emily and I just did a Matrix Mash, and we get into the subject of time. Jeff Bezos is building a clock, a 10,000-year clock is being built under a mountain owned by Jeff Bezos. Why is he doing this? This is like Dark City shit. The clock's builders hope it will encourage people to think about humanity's distant future. Now, Bezos is a Capricorn, so time, which is a Capricornian thing, is synchronous. By the way, his chart, no matter what you think of Jeff Bezos as a person, and he's probably not a great person. Anyway, his chart is interesting. Like, he has the chart of a mogul, and I've talked about it before. So this is what he's doing. Hours away from any airport, deep in the heart of the Sierra Diablo Mountains along the Texas-Mexico border, a 500-foot tall clock is taking shape. In an era when atomic clocks can tick billions of times a second, the colossal timepiece will tick once a year for the next 10,000 years. The 10,000-year clock is the brainchild of inventor Danny Hillis. This is kind of an offshoot of the Long Now by Stuart Brand, who dreamed up the idea in 1986 as a way to encourage people to think about humanity's distant future. Oh, there it is, right. After spending a decade designing the clock, Hillis and the San Francisco-based Long Now Foundation, he co-founded, the other co-founder was Stuart Brand, are building and installing it. So they're actually building this thing now. Within a mountain owned by Amazon and Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos. It's a $42 million project. Let's just play the video. Here we go. So what the hell is really going on here? Is Jeff Bezos going to be the new Paco Votan? Is he going to become the new Lord of Time? Is he going to position himself as being the god of the next Yuga? Think about that for a moment. That's where he's going. That's where he's going to be spending most of his time. And some of it, I think, is labor-based, and that the social economy is changing, and that ultimately Jeff Bezos could fall prey to just being another privileged white guy, right? But I think there's something else going on. And I think that perhaps an event is a lot closer than we think that has to do with this idea called the reset. And the reset being much more closer to this reset that we talk about around 1849, 1850, 1851. Apparently, in 1814, and I have to research this and sort of double check it, there was a year with no summer. 1814, the meteorological data about that year is very unusual. And another anomaly, Jay Widener threw this out to me over the weekend, that there was a 300-year disparity between the Julian and the Gregorian calendar. There are 300 years that are theoretically missing. I'll talk more about that tomorrow. And I think we're in clearly a very interesting time, and in some ways, a new time. Now, if you go back to 2020 and you go to January 6th, 2020, that's when the Saturn-Pluto conjunction kicked in Capricorn time. And it was 1 year later, essentially one solar cycle later, that we had that event in the capital, which in some ways signified a new time. And not in a good way, by the way. So they set the clock. They set the clock with this event, this artificial simulation, because that's exactly what happened. It was an artificial simulation. And Emily and I talk about this on the Matrix Mash, which will debut today. And we talk about the grid, the geometric grid of Washington, D.C., which was probably Tartarian. And then using that energy that took place on January 6th to fire that grid and then put a new temporal template in place. Will they be successful? Will they move us from organic analog time to the digital virtual reset world of Klaus Schwab and the new Schwabians with their digitized vaccines powered by nanomachines? We're in a fight for humanity. This is a spiritual war. And you're on the front lines every single day Every single day, you make choices, you have feelings, you have perceptions, you have perspectives that you can anchor in a meaningful way. Don't ever think that you're insignificant, because that's really the goal here. They want to make you feel insignificant. Look, I take a lot of information in. I am constantly filtering information and trying to distill it and come up with some kind of alchemical, transformative response in my own life. And my take, more than anything, outside of the fact that they want to zero in on patriots, or they want to zero in on Trumpers, or QAnon people, or MAGA people, or freedom lovers, or now they call them nativists. What they really want to zero in on are people who are conscious and aware and connected to their higher self and the divine spark within them. This is what they want to do. They want to wipe that out. This is, you can boil it down into nationalism, globalism. I mean, no, you don't. You can break it down into that kind of bicameralization. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. So every day you have the opportunity to do something about it. You are not insignificant. That they want you to feel insignificant. They want you to feel like there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about it. Look, we have all the power. That's part of the plan. So how you understand that and how you're able to embody that, that's your journey. That is your walk. And each and every one of us has something different and special and unique that we can bring to our lives, our friends, our family, our community. Find out what it is. And don't be afraid. You know, you don't have to go buck ass wild unless that's what you want to do. But don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to affirm that you count. You matter, your life matters, your soul matters, and you're going to live that way. And that's probably the most radical action that you can take, is to stand up for your being, because your being is vitally important. You are essential. Don't forget it. Hey, my man, David Palmer. I was thinking about you this morning. Good to see you. Imagine finding this site 2,000 years in the future. I'm not called anything. I won't be put in their boxes. Yeah, you know, Ian, I think that's a really good statement. Look, there are things about the American experience that I think are unique and important. And it's in a lot of ways, it's too easy to shit on it, because the American experience got hijacked. And it got hijacked a long time ago, and we've been kind of playing out the string, and they've been eroding the resistance to inserting this new paradigm for a long time, the 100-year march. So there are things in there that are important. Like, there are principles that are important. There are characters, people that have been part of the tapestry of this country and this unfoldment that are important. You know, just go listen to Thomas Sowell for an hour, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So those things shouldn't be dismissed. That said, it's good. It's better to not be in a box. It's much better to not be in a box. By the way, I watched this Thomas Sowell video where he was testifying for Robert Bork, and Ted Kennedy was listening to him. What a piece of shit Ted Kennedy was. He was bored, indifferent. I'm not going to play it. Maybe I'll play it tomorrow. It shows Kennedy's true character. You know, George Green talked about Ted Kennedy. Maybe I'll save that story for tomorrow. I'll let you guys get on with your day. Just remember, you're essential no matter what they say. All right. Let's see. Have you liked the show? Oh, thanks, Tamara. Yeah, hit the like button. That's always a good thing to do. All right. I'll be back tomorrow. David, let's hook up, man. Let's do a jam. By the way, if they're going to have a recall election in California, and it looks like that might happen, David, you should get Tito Ortiz to run for governor. California needs Tito Ortiz for governor. Just saying. All right. Love you all. Do my little salutation here. Okay. Use your head in order to discern what's real, your heart to stay open as possible. Thank you very much. I'm Robert Phoenix. Much love to you all. Stay strong, stay fluid, stay flexible, stay in the game. Bye for now.